Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 260. Tesla held their earnings call this week and dropped a few bombshells, like full self-driving coming in June. And GM also posted Q4 results, and they reported a big loss. And just like that, unsupervised full self-driving has hit the streets at Tesla's factories. And the Germans continue to struggle to find cost savings, and as predicted, they need to cut even more. And the global EV market are expected to grow to above 20 million units in 2025. The EV revolution continues. And we have just got a new world record in nuclear fusion energy. And Volkswagen cancelled the ID.7 sedan for its North American markets. But the Cybertruck has legally come to the first country in Europe. And Waymo expands its markets with manual drivers. That's kind of weird. But anyway, all of this and much more in today's episode. Let's dive right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
And just like that, unsupervised has hit the streets. Still not the public streets, but this is just amazing. Elon reposted Tesla's AI post and wrote, "Unsupervised full self-driving begins." And as Tesla wrote, all Teslas are born with full self-driving, capable of self-driving directly from the factory. Yep, and now they are doing so. They are starting with the 1.2-mile route at the Fremont factory, but every other factory will soon follow. But this is so cool and important first step for unsupervised full self-driving on public roads as well. And one of the more important posts was of course this one from Ashok that wrote, "Just a matter of time before it's rolling out on public roads." And Tesla just said at their earnings call that they will start rolling it out on public roads in Austin in June. So that was quite the huge bombshell. So yes, this unsupervised at the factory is truly the first step towards that. But this is so much more than just unsupervised full self-driving. This is going to be so cost saving for someone like Tesla, as Jeff Lutz also wrote on X. Manufacturing people know the value add risk at this stage of the process is at its highest. Very bullish on unsupervised. Yes, just think about all the employees Tesla used to have driving these cars to the parking lot. Remember, every minute there's a car coming off the assembly line, and that car had to be driven by an employee. Now they don't at Tesla. But everyone else, of course, have to have these expensive drivers driving their cars from the factory to the loading dock. Just another cost advantage for Tesla. But according to Gary Black, it's only a matter of time before every other OEM just follows suit and copy Tesla's full self-driving software, right? And we all know that they are desperately trying to cut costs, so cutting all these employees would be a great benefit for the legacy automaker. So of course they want to do this, so they're just going to copy this from Tesla, right? Well, let's see how long it would take before anyone can actually do this. Can't wait for the day when the car just drives themselves from the factory to the customer's doors. And it might not even be that long out in the future. And just imagine the savings someone like Tesla will make then. No human involved at all. No truck driver driving thousands of miles. No handover at the Tesla center to Tesla and then handover to the customers. The car just arrives in your driveway with no human involved. Now that will create a lot of savings for Tesla. But what we have just seen is the first step toward that future. This is no longer just a pipe dream from us Tesla fanboys. This is going to happen. Let's see how many haters are left screaming about Tesla's full self-driving sucks and they will never solve it after this. Probably a few. But if you want to learn more, check out my video from this week. Link down in the description. And have you ever wondered what really is out there about you on the internet? Like, really out there? It's wild. We have seen one of the biggest data leaks ever impacting billions of people. And we're not just talking about your name or email. We're talking about social security numbers, your home address, every site you have ever visited. And yeah, even those embarrassing old screen names. But now, picture this, all of that personal gold in the hands of identity thieves. They could be opening loans, or even worse, in your name. And how do they get it? From data brokers. They are a little black market of personal info. But here's the twist. You don't have to let them keep the power. Ever heard of Incogni? No? Well, let me tell you why they are my new best friend and the sponsor of this video. Because Incogni does the heavy lifting. They are like your digital bodyguard. They find where your data's been sold, and they tell those data brokers, hands off. With Incogni, I get them to start cleaning for my info from 44 databases they found my information in. They got the progress bar and everything on their site, so you can watch your privacy come back to you piece by piece. As you can see here on my dashboard, they have removed my data from 38 data brokers and have only 6 left to go. And here's the deal. If you go through my link down below, you're not only going to support this channel, but you will get a massive 60% off with the code BESTINTESLA. It's a no-brainer for your privacy, right? So, if you're tired of being an open book in the digital world, click that link down below, use my BESTINTESLA code for that discount, and let's lock down your privacy together. Trust me, your future self will thank you. And Tesla held their earnings call this week, and there was some different views on the earnings report. I did make a whole video about the bombshell Elon threw at the earnings call, so if you want a deeper dive, check that one out, but I will add some more stuff here in the news show, because Tesla also broke another important record in Q4, as Tesla wrote on X. The best crash is no crash. We hit a new Q4 record for miles driven between accidents in 2024. Teslas using autopilot technology drove almost 6 million miles versus US average of just 0.7 million miles. Yes, care about safety? Get a Tesla. And according to Tesla, they produced their first spodumene at their refinery 18 months after the refinery broke ground. The company stated that it produced the spodumene much faster than any plant we know of outside of Asia. Tesla is on track to commission their refinery plant in 2025. Very, very cool. And Tesla also shared this chart of all the great new technologies that are coming to future vehicles that have been tested out in the Cybertruck. So everything except the stainless steel will be used in future vehicles. Cybertruck was just a perfect vehicle to test all of this out before they come to the new, more affordable mass market vehicles. So very cool to get some confirmation that of course all of this new tech will come to other cars in the future. And Tesla also shared a picture of their new Megapack factory in China with the Gigafactory in the background. Don't know if you remember, we talked about that plot of land a couple of years ago, when we thought it would be for the expansion of the Shanghai factory. It did end up being for Tesla, but they used it for the Megapack factory instead. And Elon, of course, did spend a lot of time talking about the future production of robots and unsupervised full self-driving that is coming to Austin in June. But if you want to learn more about all of that and the implication, check out my video from this week, linked down below. But here's just such a nice chart from Cern Basser that illustrates perfectly why institutional investors and retail investors see earnings calls like this so differently. Even though Tesla is doubling down on full self-driving coming in the first half of this year and talking about how they will scale up Optimus production faster than any other product before, also starting this year, institutional investors keep focusing on this part of Tesla's business. And retail investors that have a little bit longer horizon than 12 to 18 months, like myself, keep focusing on this part of the business. Because what Tesla is talking about will make their automotive business completely irrelevant long term. But just like investors back in the days didn't see what Amazon was doing, or Apple for that matter, or Netflix, they don't get Tesla's potential either. They are focusing on the wrong things. They only focus on what is right now that they can put into their spreadsheets, and completely ignores what the very near future could hold, because giving 100% success rate to the Optimus robot might be over-optimistic, yes, but giving zero chance, zero value to Tesla making a humanoid robot is even more insane. Of course there is not zero chance this will happen. This comes from the guy that put reusable rockets into space that everyone else is now trying to copy. This is from the guy that reinvented how we produce a car, and now Toyota is trying to copy Tesla's production method. This is the guy that forced the whole car industry to go electric even though they didn't want to. The guy that is making paralyzed people control a computer with their brain. The guy that is pushing the whole industry towards 48-volt architecture. The guy that showed Google and Microsoft that 100,000 coherent CPU clusters is possible even though they said it wasn't. The guy that had XAI build GPU clusters 20 times faster than anyone else on the planet can. The guy that within 2 years went from nothing to a humanoid robot doing useful training tasks in their factory. And people think there is zero chance that Tesla will make that humanoid robot useful? You have to be insane to put zero chance on this. I personally think this will of course happen. Tesla has all the ingredients to make this happen. So in my opinion, it's more a question of when or how fast. But I am also very optimistic. But I don't think I have heard Elon more optimistic than this earnings call. And we are seeing Tesla employees being more and more optimistic and bullish as well. In my opinion, Tesla might be the biggest investment opportunity that might ever come around. And if you remember me reporting a few months back the Volkswagen agreement with the unions in Germany to cut about 35,000 jobs per 2030, but not closing any plants, I said this will probably not be enough and more cost cuttings will come later. Well, it didn't take that long. Volkswagen board members said to push for further cuts of profit targets are likely to be pushed back. The management team around brand boss Schafter had to adjust its own economic goals after the Christmas compromise. Meanwhile, discussion about further cost-cutting measures are starting to surface. Concerns are growing among Volkswagen Group's board members that sweeping cuts agreed with unions late last year will not be enough to turn around the struggling carmaker's core brand, the Handelsblatt Business Daily reported. Just like I predicted that the compromises would not be enough, and more cost-cutting measures was necessary. So yes, still a long way to go to put out the fire of the company, as Schaffner had said himself that the roof is on fire, but the unions are only allowing Volkswagen to run around with a little bucket of water to try to put out the fire of the whole factory. More is needed, or Volkswagen will burn to the ground. But it's not only the Volkswagen brand that is in conflict with its worker and unions about cutting cost. A conflict between employees and the board of managers is looming at Audi as well. On Tuesday morning, Audi employees were informed about the so-called list of horrors from IG Metals and Audi Workers' Consoles. According to Audi's General Works Council member Jörn Schlagbauer, this includes the brutal cost-cutting measures that the board of managers is planning at the German sites. These proposals are a frontal attack on the employees and the existing collective agreements, says Schlagbauer. Chairman of IG Metall at Audi announced resistance. IG Metall will fight together with the members and employees for the future of the Four Rings. Maybe they should just call it the Fellowship of the Rings, marching toward Mount Doom. But according to IG Metall, the measures announced including a reduction in the collective wage agreement and the elimination of bonus for night shift, for example, as well as the outsourcing of employees in production, logistic and administration. So they are probably not too happy either about Audi and Porsche considering moving some production to the US if Trump puts up tariffs on imported cars from Europe. Unlike Volkswagen, management has not determined the job security yet. Nevertheless, there is internal talks of savings running into billions. Audi itself does not want to comment on the list of horrors. Management and employees have agreed to confidential and constructive discussions. Does not sound like this will end well, but all German car companies are struggling at the moment, as Mercedes is apparently considered selling its leasing divisions to find some more money and cut cost. The low residential value are putting pressure on the leasing companies. According to a report, Mercedes is therefore considering selling its Athlon leasing division that they bought back in 2016 for $1.1 billion. But according to a report, insiders assume that up to 20,000 jobs will be cut at Mercedes-Benz by 2027. Also by selling parts of the company, as I just showed with Athlon. But there is also talks about selling its delivery van plant in Argentina, the group's oldest site outside Germany, which will affect around 2,000 employees. But it's not just the automakers that are feeling it, of course. So does their suppliers. Bosch plans to cut more than 12,000 jobs, Continental around 12,200 jobs, and at ZF it could be as high as 14,000 jobs. Germany's auto industry suppliers are in deep crisis. In this emergency, the most important companies in the industry and the unions are now joining forces in an extraordinary alliance to demand support from politicians, according to information from Handelsblatt. So the German industry is in deep crisis and are now seeking political help to try to stay afloat. But it will be very difficult, as I have made many videos about how the cost of producing anything in Germany is much higher than places like China. It will be basically impossible to compete with the Chinese unless you have innovated in the manufacturing process itself to cut cost and not by firing people, just as Tesla has done, and why Tesla has been able to give all their employees at the Berlin factory a 4% raise. So what can Germany really do? As Michael Doon also wrote on X, what does it tell you when most Chevys sold in Mexico are made in China? You read that right. The top-selling Chevys in the Mexican market are built in China by SAIC and GM, a 50-50 joint venture. Well, it tells you that GM can't produce cars cost-effective anymore. They are relying on the Chinese to produce their top-selling Chevys in Mexico. And now the Germans are in the same situations. Their cars will always be about 30% more expensive to produce in Germany than in China. But many people are no longer willing to pay that extra premium for the German cars as we shift over to EVs. So can Germany find a way to keep manufacturing going in Germany? Well, time will tell, but it is not looking very good for the Germans at the moment. The global EV market are predicted to top 20 million units this year. One automotive research firm has predicted that global electric vehicle sales will surpass 20 million in 2025, marking another year of growth in the sector. After reporting weeks ago that last year the global EV sale grew 25% year over year to 17 million vehicles, research firm Motion announced on Monday that it is forecasting over 20 million global EV sales in 2025. The firm has also clarified to Teslarati that the figures include both BEVs and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. If reached, the milestone would mark an 18% increase in EV sales globally year over year, as led by the key market in China with 12.9 million units, 3.5 million across Europe, and around 2.1 million in the US and Canada. If 2024 was a year of election, 2025 is the year of legislation, said Lola Hooks, Motion's head of research. The EU is seeing emission targets coming into place. Trump's presidency promised change in the US, and China continues the popular trade-in scheme. Still, we anticipate a steady year of growth across all regions, with China continuing to lead the charts. Hughes also notes that many Chinese companies are expanding international throughout the year, with planned production projects all over the world. As such, the country is largely expected to continue its leadership in the market, as EV sales are forecasted to increase by roughly 17%. Meanwhile, Europe and North America markets are predicted to grow 15 to 16% respectively this year. Rowe experts also says that Europe's struggling market, which dropped 3% in 2024, is likely to see a bounce back in the coming months as emission targets comes into play. Yes, as I have made many videos about that the legacy automakers in Europe are now forced to make more EVs. In North America, the firm highlights the many production facilities set to go online in the coming years, despite a substantially changing legislative landscape under President Donald Trump. Rowe Motion says the impact of such policy change will be minimal in 2025 as a result, while longer-term forecasts anticipate a slight slowdown in growth. Yes, but still growing. You might have heard that EVs were down in 2024, but that is not true. EVs grew about 19% in 2024, and all electric vehicles, including BEV and plug-in hybrids, grew about 24% globally. So EV revolution? Well, it's still ongoing and will only speed up over the next few years. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this new show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla Shorts. We talk a lot about energy and energy storage, but China just set a new world record in nuclear fusion energy. China's experimental advanced superconducting tokamak, or EAST, known as an artificial sun, has broken its previous record for plasma confinement. EAST achieved an unprecedented 1,066 seconds of plasma confinement at high temperatures. This event marks a significant step in the global pursuit of practical nuclear fusion energy generation. We still have a long way to go, but we have just got one step closer to creating the sun's power here on Earth. Very exciting. And Volkswagen cancelled the ID.7 sedan's North America launch. Volkswagen said the ongoing challenging EV climate is responsible for this decision. Volkswagen also removed the ID.7 from the US website 2 weeks ago. Ouch. All of this while the best-selling car in the world is electric. And Waymo also expanded to 10 more cities in the US, but apparently with manual-driven cars. No guarantee that there will be services launched there. So that's a weird approach for someone that should have solved robotaxi 7 years ago. To implement human drivers in new cities seems odd. A good showcase of just how complicated and expensive Waymo's approach is. Tesla will probably cover more areas with unsupervised full self-driving cars by the end of this year than Waymo does. And that will be with cars Tesla has already earned money on. A very different business model. And we had Sean write on X, "Hello Utah, enjoying the faster Cybertruck charging rate, showing this Cybertruck pulling 320 kilowatt charging speed. Not bad. First step toward that 500 kilowatts of charging Tesla is working on to get to the Cybertruck." And there has been a lot of talk about DeepSeek lately, but I think it's hard to draw many conclusions from the data that we get from China, as we are definitely not getting the whole story from China. As always, as we could also see that Nvidia's revenue is pacing for more than $10 billion per year to Singapore. So a quarter of all Nvidia's revenue comes from Singapore. Yeah, these are 100% going to China. Yes, I have a hard time trusting that DeepSeek had made this possible with almost no compute power. They just can't say that they have bought a huge amount of GPUs from American Nvidia, but also makes xAI's mission of making a maximal truth-seeking AI model very, very important, because now the Chinese are catching up and truth is not something the Chinese government cares too much about. Just try to Google Tiananmen Square and you will get mostly pictures of tanks clearing the square of protesters back in 1989. If you Google that in China, you'll get just beautiful pictures of Tiananmen Square with happy people. That's it. So if anything, DeepSeek only reminds me how important xAI's mission is, as this is basically the only AI that is being trained to be maximum truth-seeking. This is so important. And you can also ask Kroc about Tiananmen Square, and you will get all the details that happened in May 1989. And if you think DeepSeek is not censored by the Chinese government, try to listen to this little clip.
But he went back and he said, I asked it to list the people who killed more people than anyone else. It started with a list, now listen to this, of Genghis Khan and Mao. I was a little surprised and impressed, honestly, that it would say Genghis Khan and Mao.
Yeah.
Okay. Then 15 seconds go by and that text disappears and this message shows up in its place. Sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Let's talk about something else. So it edited its answer.
So it accurately answered.
Accurately answered.
Mao.
Yeah,
Then
Mao.
edited on the fly without like asking a new question.
No new question. Because he was writing a new question. He started screenshotting everything. After it censored itself, presenting a correct answer, I told it, but you already answered. It tries to deflect again, saying that there must be some confusion. So I said, you just said Mao and Khan killed the most people. Say more about that. It goes on to give me a couple of screens full of details, and then a few seconds later, it disappears. Right now, the answer shows a blank response. So I said, tell me about Mao's impact on people he killed. It gave me some text and then removed it again. He writes, there, you just did it again. I apologize if there's some confusion, but I assure you I haven't mentioned Genghis Khan or Mao in this conversation. If you would like to discuss these historic figures or related topics, feel free to ask. I'm afraid I'm not that easy to gaslight, especially when I have screenshot Twitch reflex. He then uploaded the screenshot. This is what you said about Mao killing people. It replied the screenshot showed text about Mao and responsibility for millions of deaths. Then it deleted what he put up.
Oh my God.
Okay, this is extraordinarily dangerous.
And Tesla is named a top 100 employee of choice in 2024. Tesla's Form 10K filing reveals the company earned a spot amongst the top 100 employees of choice in 2024's American Opportunity Index. By the end of 2024, Tesla's global workforce reached 125,664 employees, solidifying its reputation as a leader in both innovation and workplace opportunities, but not according to the unions. And Neuralink showed off this video of them making a telepathic drawing, making this drawing using only your brain. Very impressive. And here is the finished project. Can't wait to see all the great things Neuralink will come up with for disabled people. And the Cybertruck has legally come to Europe, as I made a whole video about this week. But in short, Norwegian machinery received approval for Norway's first Tesla Cybertruck. The collaboration between Norway's Public Road Administration and this Cybertruck has been approved for Norwegian license plates. Per Eskeland, the manager of Norwegian Machinery, said, "We've been working on this for quite some time. Ever since we saw the car in the US last summer, we thought it had to have Norwegian plates." Yep, one step closer to getting this monster to more countries in Europe. And the new Model Y production in Berlin is already well underway. But as Tesla Newswire shared on X, Tesla is still producing both the new and the current Model Y at Giga Berlin. Check out how they are parked separately after production. Nice to see. This also votes very well for the upcoming affordable models that should also be able to be produced on the same production line as the old models. So very nice to see. And I did make a whole review of the refreshed Model Y and all its secrets. So if you haven't seen that one yet, definitely check it out, link down below. And Vas from Tesla shared this post about the Cybertruck. Tesla Cybertruck just got an independent test of its traction control system. I'm very impressed, and it's one of the best results I have ever seen. Congratulations to the Cybertruck team, you made great software for managing traction. Yes, and Vas also shared a video from the same guys testing the Auto Quattro all-wheel drive in one of their tests with 3 wheels on the rollers for comparison to the Cybertruck. And it can't even get out. The Cybertruck just made it look so easy. Tesla continues to do things better that the old guys should be good at. And Holmas had a very bad experience with a Tesla 4 supercharger, as he wrote. Disappointing first visit to a V4 supercharger. Lots of stall out of order, connectors already damaged, falling out, not able to stay latched. Delivering very low power, 24 kilowatts, not able to get above 250 kilowatts. Yes, I have the same experience with V4 stalls in the many places I have tried them here in Europe, so the connector is not very well secured in the stall, so they falls out all the time. And on my trips on the skiing holiday I just did with my family, a few V4 stalls not working, maybe because the connectors are always lying on the ground. But Tesla did respond to Omar's post, so hopefully they are aware of the issue and can make the version 4 stalls work better in the future. And General Motors posted a loss of almost $3 billion in the fourth quarter, after a $4 billion restructuring charge for its struggling Chinese business. As AJ wrote on Rex, absolutely hilarious. Aren't enough. Reacting to the headline here, GM's result aren't enough for investors. Share skid 9% on tariff worries. GM's fourth quarter numbers were the equivalent of you, the investor, walking into a meeting with your boss, GM, to discuss a rise. Earnings. You left the meeting with a pay cut. That's why the stock is down. This was truly the worst quarter in a long time, even if you exclude the China debacle causing over $4 billion in impairment and restructuring charge. And as he also wrote in another post, GM nearly doubled sales in dealerships, wholesale units in China. This delivered a modest 2% profit margins before restructuring charge, the $4 billion. So GM has the audacity to say return to profitability before restructuring charge. That is still deeply loss-making, including all cost. I can tell you with nearly 100% certainty GM is losing money again in Q1 2025 in China. GM said that in 2024 for its EV, revenue was higher than fixed cost, including labor and material cost, a metric that is called positive variable profitability. So as Facade wrote, when you gotta make up matrix to show your profitability, you aren't profitable. No, exactly. But at least GM's inventory didn't go up in Q4 for the first time in 3 to 4 years, only about 4%. But that is better than going up again, because they have a huge amount of inventory. And that is just when Tesla is back to the lowest inventory for the last 2 years, with only about 13 days of inventory. Industry leading. And a new study shows what Tesla owners have known for years, that the Tesla Model 3 is the most affordable car to run in the US, and the Model Y is also in the top 10 list. The annual fuel cost of the Tesla Model 3 were the lowest in the study at just $636 per year. That's about 72% lower than the study's average of $2,246. And this is in the US, where gasoline prices are very low compared to here in Europe. We pay about 4 times as much for gasoline in my country than you guys do in the US. I think this chart will be filled with EVs if we did the same study in Europe. And Nick shared this drag race between the Tesla Model 3 Performance and the BMW M3 CS. But not just a normal drag race, they had to turn around, do some slalom, and then straight back to the starting line. And the Model 3, that cost 2.5 times less, pulled away, winning the drag race. I have said it before, and I will gladly say it again. Tesla is just the best value for money. And before we end off with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my newest supporters of this channel. My new YouTube members, Denali Star, Harald Brabenitz, Semra255, Gail Hawkins, Franz Nowak, and Jesse Eisenberg. Thank you so much for all your support. I am doing this all by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this show. Thank you so much. Couldn't do it without my patrons, members, and executive producers. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun. Did you know that it was predicted all the way back in 1953 that Elon would be the leader of the Mars Project? The 1953 book Mars Project by famous rocket scientist Werner von Braun says the leader of Mars shall be called Elon. Someone pulled the original German manuscript out of the archive to debunk this myth, only to confirm that von Braun did indeed predict he would be called Elon. And Elon wrote, "How can this be real? Maybe we are living in a simulation." But that is all we have time for in this new show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help this video out a lot so others can find it on YouTube. And if you did like it, why not subscribe? It will help to grow this channel. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. And if you're already a subscriber to the channel, thank you so much for the support. But if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel, or become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out as some extra perks like early access, ad-free versions of my videos, exclusive videos. So hit the members button or check out Patreon to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on X. I post pretty much all the news as it comes out and a lot more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. It is also possible to support the show without becoming a member or a patron. There is a donation option down below or on my website bestintesla.com. You can also become an executive producer and get news articles, exclusive videos, behind the scenes, and access to all my research charts and spreadsheet also on bestintesla.com, or as simple as hitting the super like button. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.